The thing is that the Baal Shem Tov explains, that there are two chambers in Shamayim. Chambers of purity and chambers of impurity. Hechalot Tumah, Hechalot Kedusha. And imagine a person now sits in the hospital like that, has an IV to this hand and one IV to this hand. Here he's getting his vitamins, here he's getting his minerals. If you put now poison in one of the IVs, then that's what's going to go into his body. So you have an option to connect yourself to the IV of the chambers of purity, or to connect yourself to the IV of the chambers of impurity. Now, if now comes a thought in your mind, and your thought tells you, hey, there's a great lecture tonight, let's make it. You know that thought came from a chamber of purity. But then you have a thought, something bad about another person. If you now stop yourself and you analyze the situation, right away you can analyze, okay, this thought just now came from a chamber of impurity. Now the first 2-3 seconds, it's not your thought. The first 2 or 3 seconds of your thought, or you look at something, it's not you. Because our soul gets dressed into garments. We know of 3 major garments: thought, speech, and action. Machshava, dibur, v'maaseh. Your soul gets dressed in it because your soul can't interact in this world. It's too holy. And even when it's in the body, it can't move the body because it's it's a spiritual being. How can it move a body? How can it interact in this world? Soul doesn't have eyes. The soul doesn't have the tools that we has. So it gets dressed into garments. One garment is thought, one garment is speech, and one garment is action. And each garment is built from many, many other garments. And with this garment, it's like a puppet. So you put your hand in a puppet, then you move your pinky toe or your little toe, so the hand of the puppet moves. You move your thumb, the other hand of the puppet moves. So your soul moves in your body and it maneuvers you. So thoughts, speech, and actions sometimes are your thoughts, sometimes they're not even yours at all. That's why when suddenly you have a bad thought about somebody, first 2-3 seconds of the thought, it's not even your thoughts. It's some type of an impure garment that your soul is dressed in, and it's coming down and you think it's yours. Now if you know how to stop it right away, then you say, okay, these thoughts are not coming from an impure place, they're not even my thoughts. And you have to make yourself stop it. Now how you start to not even have these thoughts, there's an inyan in the Torah that it says, Kadesh et atzmecha b'mutar lecha. Sanctify yourself with things that you are permitted. So the Torah tells you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. Okay, black and white, pretty simple. But then the Torah comes and tells you, you want to go one step higher, then you sanctify yourself with things that you are permitted. And I'll give you an example. You're allowed to eat. There's no prohibition to eat. You can eat as much as you want. But if you eat during the week, because every second you want another cookie and another ice cream and another this, and you're constantly indulging on this food, so you're not sanctifying yourself where you are permitted. So our sages tell you, sanctify yourself where you're permitted, because eating during the week is not a mitzvah. You want to eat all these good things on Shabbat. Shabbat you eat all the cakes and the cookies and wherever, indulge on Shabbat. During the week, the minimum of the minimum. Now it might sound to a person, okay, big deal, you're telling me not to have cakes during the week? Yeah, when you sanctify yourself where you are permitted, that's where you are refining your levushim, your spiritual garments. And I give you one example with eating. It's with many, many different things. Many, many different things that you can sanctify yourself. You're saying, okay, I can have it. It's no prohibition, it's no sin. But I'm not. I'm making myself more holy. And on Shabbat I'll enjoy it. On Shabbat it's a mitzvah to eat. On Shabbat it's a mitzvah to wear beautiful clothes. On Shabbat it's a mitzvah for the husband and wife to be together. On Shabbat everything is a mitzvah. During the week it's not a mitzvah. During the week you have to do it l'shem shamayim. So you eat l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. You sleep l'shem shamayim. The more you do l'shem shamayim, the more you sanctify yourself with what you are permitted. You are dressing your neshama with holy garments, which will by default manifest to the point that your actions are holier, your thoughts are holier, your speech is holy. So you get upset, most people, they get upset, somebody cuts them in the street, right away they throw out a word out of their mouth, not a nice word. Why? Why do you say that? It didn't come from you. It's the garments that your soul is dressed in, are dirty. So your thought is not 100% clean. And your words are not 100% clean. Sometimes somebody tells you something, excuse my language, you tell them, shut up. Why shut up? Please be quiet. Please don't say that. It's not a nice way. I'm just giving one example, but every normal person, somebody does something bad to him, they throw out a not nice word. Not too long ago, somebody that I know, a very holy person, something went wrong. He said, a very not nice word. I was like, where did that come from? He's like, I don't know. All these things, if you're looking at it in a very physical way, then a lot of people say, oh, no, come on, nonsense. If you want to look at it in a very mystical way, you make yourself very holy. That's why you are fanatic with things. So you have to be fanatic with your kosher diet. A lot of people are kosher, and a lot of people are much more kosher. They are fanatic about this milchig spoon, and the fleischig spoon, and the dishwasher, and they're fanatic about things. There's a reason for that. Because the more you sharpen the knife, the sharper it becomes. The more you are, I'm calling it fanatic, but the more you are refining certain things, then your garments become refined, then you become much more pure, much more refined, therefore your thoughts are not as dirty. Or your speech is not dirty. Dirty, I mean like lichluch, dirt on your levush. Because your thoughts, you have two garments. Garments from kedusha, garments from tu'ah. Holiness, unholiness. A holy thought comes into your sechel, to your intellect. You know where it came from. It came from a chamber of purity. And the more you direct yourself to the chamber of purity, then you bring this kedusha on you. That's why you have to be very particular with your kosher diet. Very, very particular with, washing the hands in the morning, like I said, with the bucket. All these little things that bring purity on you, it will manifest outside how you behave. A man, is a sin for a man to look at the wrong place. It's mamash a sin. You don't have to look somewhere. Now, a lot of men says, okay, who cares? I don't care. Yeah, you might not care, but it goes into a spiritual refined level that you're making the windshield dirty, then everything inside is not seeing so clear. So it can be with so many different things. And then there's another thing that the Zohar tells us, that our main avodah in this world, our main work in this world, is a concept that is called itkafia. Itkafia is to subdue. Subdue your tava, your inclination. That's mainly why we came to this world. We came to subdue our tavot, our inclinations. And how do you do it? Like two fighters. One is stronger, he pulls the other one to the ground. The other one comes and becomes more stronger than him. Our main avodah in this world, the Zohar says, Kad kafia sitra'acha. The sitra'acha, the other side of holiness, comes to attack you with a bad thought, with a tava, with a certain desire to do something. You have to fight. That's itkafia. You're subduing it. And you know what happens when you subdue it? The reaction is ithapcha. That's how the Zohar says it. Ithapcha is meant to transform. And the verse says, ithapcha chashocha lenahora. Transform the darkness into light. Umeriru lemetiku. And the bitterness into sweetness. So when you're able to subdue your desire right now, you're transforming the darkness into light. Everything has a godly spark in it. Even the bad things has a godly spark in it. Hashem puts you in this position that you can maybe chas v'shalom do a sin or something unwanted. And if you subdue, you do this itkafia, you take the spark out, you transform the darkness into light. So you maybe 9 times you'll fail, 1 time you did it. If you didn't fail, you failed the first time, you go the next time. So Rabbi Nachman from Breslov says, En yush ba'olam. Don't fall in despair, because this is the path. 9 times you'll fail. We read every Friday in Lecha Dodi, Hitna'ari me'afar kumi. In the 4th verse, Hitna'ari me'afar kumi basically means that you fall down to the klipot, to the dirt. Hitna'ari me'afar kumi. Brush off all the dirt, get up. V'livshi bigdei tifartech ami. You wear the garments of the glory of my nation. Because the falling down is part of the process. Why? Because you release something out of it. Now, when you do this itkafia, this motion of subduing yourself on very small things, when it comes to the big things, it comes easy. So this itkafia, this motion of subduing your desire, you do it dafka with the things that are small and you are permitted. And I'll give you a basic example. You later on use your imagination. I love coffee. Crazy about coffee. Technically, I can have 50 cups of coffee a day. There's no sin in it. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't say in the Torah I can't have coffee. But when it comes to my third cup of coffee, and I really want that third cup of coffee, if I hold myself and I'm like, I can continue the day without that third cup of coffee. I'm in the motion of refraining, of subduing some type of a desire to something physical that doesn't give me anything. By me doing this action, when it comes to a big thing, right away, like a martial artist, you practice. When it comes to the real time, you do it. So when you want to control things that are coming in very refined way, thoughts, mainly thoughts, emotions, anger, jealousy, hate, grudge, all these things, that's you have to do it kafia. You have to subdue this inclination. But how do you actually pump yourself with power to do it? Is A, you sanctify yourself with what you are permitted. And there's a whole list of things. You use your imagination. You subdue yourself, you deriving, you not doing things that are fine to do, but you can do without. And it's not a mitzvah to do it, and there's nothing good about it. You're diminishing them all. That's why you see the great tzaddikim, the great rabbis, they don't take nothing out of this world. Simple, everything's simple. I'm fine. I'm fine. A 20-year-old car is just as good. Gets me to the same place. I don't need fancy car. I'm not telling you to live like that, but you see that the people who want to reach to a very high level, they segregate themselves from the world. They don't take nothing out of this world. Because the more you get attached to this world, the harder it is to separate from this world. Even when the soul leaves the body, it's harder to leave the body. In the first 30 days, the nefesh is next to the body. It's hard for the nefesh to leave. It sees everything, it recognizes everything. Even bad habits, it says it hurts the nefesh, not the neshama. There's 5 levels in our neshama. The nefesh, which is the lowest part of the nefesh, it actually suffers from bad habits it has in this world. Smoking, things like this. It's hard for the nefesh. It needs it. It's got attached. You know how in Hollywood, somebody took me on Hollywood, they have the street and all the stars, they put the hand in the ground and there's like an impression of their hands. You know that street? Melrose, whatever it's called. When your soul, your nefesh, is in the body for 60, 70 years, it gets an impression. The soul, the nefesh, gets the shape of your body. And it takes with it all sorts of habits from this world. So anything that is holy and Torah and mitzvahs, no problem, it can take it. It's spiritual. But anything that's physical, it can't take it. It stays in the body. And the nefesh has some type of suffering from that. It wants these worldly things. That's why our sages says, don't enjoy anything in this world.
Would you define sleeping, like sleep-wise, is that one of the tavot that you define as stuff?
Anything. If a person, sleeps for 12 hours...
No, not 12 hours, but like less than 6 hours.
No, you need to sleep whatever you need to sleep. One person can sleep for 6 hours, one person can sleep for 8 hours. You need to sleep, but in your mind you have to say, I'm going to sleep now, l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven, so I can wake up in the morning and have energy to go serve God. But some people abuse it and they sleep till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's already... So it can mean anything, sleeping, eating, anything that you take from this world and you indulge out of this world that is permitted. The point is, I'm not telling you, when it comes to a isur, to a prohibition, that's no doubt here. I'm talking about the things that are permitted. That's why in Shabbat, you see, everything is a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to eat. It's a mitzvah to be dressed beautiful. It's a mitzvah to have beautiful kelim on the table, plates, cups. Everything is a mitzvah on Shabbat. So on Shabbat, you enjoy it. On Shabbat, wife and husband are together. That's the time for them to be. Shabbat, you have good drinks on the table, wine, whatever. So in my house, besides that my wife is a health freak, so we don't have any treats or all this junk that everybody has. But Shabbat is the time that we indulge on cakes. They're healthy cakes, but cakes or all the good things. So Shabbat is the time to enjoy this world, because during the week it's nothing for sake of shamayim. People all day long, cookies, cakes, ice creams, all these, you don't need it. So when I'm just giving an example with food because that's one of the basic ones. But you know, she said, sleeping, every little thing. For me, Shabbat, my nice clothes are for Shabbat. If I buy a nice shirt, it's Shabbat. During the week, you know, a regular shirt is fine. I don't need to be dressed in the, you know, the most expensive designer shirt. Shabbat, yeah. So the tricks to overpower what you're saying, thoughts, all sorts of emotions, is A, you sanctify yourself with what you are permitted, and B, you constantly do this motion of this itkafia, this subduing, with simple things. And you see when it comes to a big thing, it comes a little bit more easy. Because our behavior in this world is like a muscle. You go now to a gym for 2 years. If you go after, you know, a person doesn't work out for 20 years, then he goes and lifts up some weights, for a whole month his muscles are aching. You're working out constantly, you're in good shape. So you constantly have to do this motion of refraining. And these two things, you will see that if you really start doing it, because you can't control the thoughts. Because the first 2 or 3 seconds of the thought, or the emotion, or anything that comes to you, it's not you.
It's the body?
Excuse me?
It's from the body?
It comes from many different things. From the body, no. It will mainly come from the what's called levushim tzoim, from the garments that are dirty. Because if you once already did one bad thing, then that's it, you already got the garments dirty. And then the IV comes from the hechalot tumah. And the more a person connects himself to these chambers of impurity, and the thoughts will be impure, and the speech will be impure, and the action will be impure. It doesn't mean the person is bad. The person can be a very nice person. But you know, something happens and right away this jealousy emotion is burning inside of him. Why are you jealous? Why are you angry? Why are you upset? It's all these little things, that's what you really want to clean yourself. This is where you're really cleaning the nefesh, because your soul is 100% perfect. Neshama shenatata bi tehorai. It's perfect. People think that you come back to this world to fix your soul. Nothing's wrong with your soul. What you come here into this world is to refine your nefesh and your body. Neshama is a total different thing. Neshama just gets stressed a little bit into the body and it kind of maneuvers the body. So you practice these two things, you'll see that by default, you're reducing these emotions and thoughts. And yes, you have to fight the thoughts. You have to catch yourself and say, no, I don't want to think this right now.
Can I think that Hashem is sending me the thought because He wants me
To stop it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is that the first few seconds, it's not your thought. If you're starting to indulge on the thought, that's where you have a problem. But if you stop the thought right away and like, okay, I don't want to think about it right now, then you did your part. But if you, when starting to feed the thought, meditate, feed it, whatever. I'll give you an example. Same thing when I said before with a man looking in the wrong place. If he looked and he saw something not modest, and right away he moved his head, nothing's wrong. But if he looks and the mind starts cooking things, then that's the problem. That you indulge, you take the impure thought or the impure vision or whatever it is, and you start feeding it. Same thing with you. You have a bad thought. If you right away say, no, I don't want to. Yes, of course, ultimately everything comes from Hashem. Hashem wants you to fight. You have an opponent. That's itkafia. Itkafia is to subdue. But Hashem puts you in a ring with your Yetzer Hara, and He tells you fight. Hashem has some type of a pleasure when you win. It's called nachat ruach. It's pleasure that you won. That's why I said before, a person lies 100 times a day. One time he doesn't lie, parties in Shamayim. He didn't lie! And the more you are particular with what the Torah tells you, Torah and mitzvahs, the easier it is for you to function. The Torah and mitzvahs are literally a guide. Hashem tells you, you wanna do your part in this world? Read the manual. The manual tells you very clear what to do. You buy now a DVD, a phone, the manual tells you, don't put it in the water. Don't put it in the microwave. Don't put it in the sun. It tells you what to do and what not to do. Charge it once a day. Clean it, whatever. The manual, the Torah comes from the word hora'ah, teaching. The Torah is a manual, very simple manual. Tells you what to do, what not to do. You have a machine, you're not allowed to eat this, you're not allowed to eat this. The more you're doing what the Torah tells you, then you can concentrate on your main avodah. And it sounds like a very superficial and simple thing, but that's what we were created for. To refine our thoughts, to refine our actions, to refine our speech, to work on ourselves. You know, the thing is that all these little things in us are the biggest sins. You know, jealousy is a very big sin. Some people say it's lot in af. It's mainly lo tachmod from the Ten Commandments, not to desire something that doesn't belong to you. But a lot of people also interpret it lot in af. It's mamash like committing adultery. What you're looking at something that doesn't belong to you, and you want it? That's the ultimate choser bitachon in Hashem, not trusting in Hashem. Why? By saying, why does he have this car and I don't have this car? It's basically you saying, I'm not happy with what Hashem gave me. I'm not trusting that Hashem gave me the right thing, what is good for me. So all these little things, jealousy and animosity and holding grudge. Why holding grudge? You know, the thing that most people fail in is that they hold grudge against somebody who did something, so to say, against them. They're just a puppet. All comes from Hashem. And this is the thing what most people failing, and you know, in our generation it's one of the biggest tests. It's called erech apayim. I think it's in English it's forbiddenness, something like that. That you forgive somebody for doing something bad to you, even though you feel like choking him. He's just a puppet. Hashem just sent him as a messenger. Why are you upset at him? You have to look at yourself. So all these things are really the things that we have to work on. And yeah, the more you connect yourself to the chambers of purity, it's easier to do. And it's not an easy thing. Nothing's easy in this world. But every time you overpower one of them, then you one step above. You elevate yourself to a higher level.